Let me just make sure we are live, as always. You can never be too sure. Are we live? I believe that we are live. Yes, we are live, guys. Hello, and welcome back to MUFC MPB here on YouTube. My name is Brooks, and today is Thursday, the 28th of September. Of course, Manchester United have played already this week against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup. I think it was a 3-0, although I cannot remember. It was Garnacho, Casemiro, and Marsh. Yeah, so it was a 3-0 win. And of course, we do have them again on the weekend at Old Trafford. Again, it is a 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff against Crystal Palace again. So we'll be talking about the previous match and the next match. We'll also be going over a bit of January transfer news. I know it's a bit early, but of course it's Manchester United and they're always linked with players. But this one might excite you a little bit. And obviously, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be speaking about Italy and Juventus winger Federico Chiesa. We will also be going through some injury returns, some close injury returns, and the not so close one. And we'll be talking about Manchester United in general. But let's just get straight into things. Now, guys, as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about Federico Chiesa. He is somebody that I would say in the last 3 or 4 years, I've admired him. I admire the fact that he's... I think he's one of a dying breed of wingers in terms of when you get the ball and you just run and you just push and you just attack. I think it's something that we might have at the club in someone like Facundo Pellistri, but I don't think it's what any teams really do have enough of. I feel like a lot of the modern day wingers are very tactical, very cautious. They're not as, I'd say, they're not as carefree, or they don't take as many risks as old-fashioned wingers did. But with someone like Federico Chiesa, you have their all he thinks about as soon as he gets on the ball is, I need to get as close to goal as possible. I need to make an opportunity to shoot. And I think I don't know how many people watch the Serie A. I watch a bit of it. I do watch a bit of Juventus, mainly Napoli and AC Milan. But Juventus, obviously, they are probably, well, they will be the biggest team over the last decade or so. So a lot of their matches do get shown, or you're more able to watch Juventus play than other teams. But if you don't watch a lot of Serie A, the Euros, which the last Euros I think were in 2020, it was Euro 2020, but obviously because of COVID they took place in 2021. Of course, Italy beat England in the final, and a player that stood out for me was Federico Chiesa. It wasn't someone that was new. He's not someone that had just burst onto the scene. He was an already established European international level winger, but seeing him against England and seeing him against the players that we watch and support every single week, I think what you could see there was a bit of a different level or a different angle or an approach to the game, which we might not see so much of in the Premier League. And for me, I'd already known about him, but that is exactly the reason why I think he'd be a very good fit for a team like Manchester United or a team like ours. But if you didn't already know about him, you would have known about him after the final. He was very, very direct. He's able to pick the ball up from deep and just drive and cause problems, and massive problems in that specific match, the England defence, but any defence he comes up against in general. I think it will be a shrewd signing. However, I do think there are some negatives as well as being positives. So, of course, the news comes out from Calcio Mercato. Manchester United have identified Federico Chiesa as a target to replace Jadon Sancho. United want to sign Chiesa as early as January. Now, Manchester United in the past few years haven't been too good, especially in the January transfer window, usually resorting to last-minute emergency signings. I'm talking about Odion Ighalo, attackers really, Odion Ighalo and Wout Weghorst, two of the, I guess, they're emergency signings, and they did represent us and they played well for us, but they were more comical. It was like, what are we doing? Federico Chiesa, whether or not we get him on the 1st of January or the 31st of January, I think he'd be a magnificent signing. He is a winger by trade, but he can play across the front line. However, this is the big however. Chiesa isn't really a right winger. back when he was playing for Fiorentina, of course, he was deployed on the right wing. Sometimes he was deployed on the left. He can play centrally as well. But we need a player that can play on the right wing and play the right wing naturally. I believe that Chiesa can. We do have Pellistri, of course, and I do believe they're of the similar build. They're of the similar type of player. The way they play, the way they think, the runs they make, the way they even dribble, the way they even run. I think we have a very, very similar player there. But in Chiesa, you have someone who's done it and he's experienced and he's done it on the highest level. He took Italy, and he was one of the main reasons they are European champions currently. And I think, all depending on how much Juventus value him at or how much we could possibly get him, I think we should. Now, using a football app, FotMob, I can categorically tell you from this that Juventus value him, or his market value is around £36 million. I was astonished. I don't think it should be that low. I think it should be much higher. Me personally, I know how good he is and I like watching him, and I think he can improve us a lot in terms of his directness and speed and the fact that he's actually good. I would have expected it to be around 60, maybe 65 million, but maybe that's just the price that Italians usually go for, or maybe that's the price that teams operate at in the Serie A. Now, I'm going to put a poll up for you guys because I do want to get your opinion on things for all of you guys that are watching. Do you think... Is it up? Is it up? I can't see it. Oh, it is up. Yes. So, do you think Chiesa would improve Manchester United? My answer is yes. I believe when you have a winger who might be available for that price and that quality, I don't think it's an opportunity that you should miss at all. Well, give me one sec, guys. I'm just sending MPB a message. Wait. Now, sorry, I was just sending a message to MPB, the big man himself. But with Chiesa, I'm going to take you through the last 5 or 6 seasons since I think it might have been his debut season with Fiorentina. So in the 2016-17 season with Fiorentina, he played 27 games and made 17 starts. He scored 3 goals and got 2 assists. In the next season, the games increased to 36. He's got 6 goals and 5 assists. Then the following season, he scored 6 goals and registered 3 assists. Now, with his final season in Fiorentina, he played 34 games, started 31, and had 16 goal contributions, which made it 10 goals and 6 assists. Now, I didn't know this, but Juventus loaned him for 2 years before they bought him. So in his first season at Juventus, he played 33 times and made 31 starts with 18 goal contributions. He scored 9 goals and got 9 assists. So you can see an improvement there on all of his previous seasons. There is a steady increase. However, in the following season, I can't remember what injury he had, but he wasn't playing that much. He only made 14 appearances and got 11 and made 14 starts, in which he got 2 goals and 2 assists. In the last season, again an injury ravaged campaign, I guess. He only made 21 appearances. In 6 starts, though, he got 2 goals and 5 assists, which I think is quite positive. However, I'm going to take you to this season now. Let me just get it. Now, for this season, he's played 6 games and he's started 6 games. In those 6 games, he's got 4 goals. So, I think it's a goal every 0.75. No, a goal every 1.25 games. A goal every 1.5 games he's managing at Juventus this season, which I think is a good record. It's good. Now, the big however, is that he doesn't really play on the right wing anymore. He's a left winger by trade. However, he can play in the centre forward position and up front. Manchester United are in desperate need of a right winger because of the situations we have with all of our right wingers apart from Pellistri right now. And I think Chiesa can take us back to the time where we had flying wingers who were they were always active, they were always running, and it was like nothing could stop them. I think it could be a massive bonus if we managed to get him in January. But if we were to get him in January, that means we would have to sacrifice Jadon Sancho, which I know some people want to do, some people don't want to do. I'm one of the ones that don't really want to do it because I still believe there is an apology in there. And of course, if he does apologise, things might change, or things might change for the better, which I think will be more beneficial to everybody involved in this situation. But of course, I'm not Sancho, I'm not Ten Hag, I'm not on the board of directors at Manchester United. Maybe their decision has already been made. But what would you do? Would you sign Chiesa in January, whether or not we still had Sancho or we're getting rid of him? Would you avoid Chiesa because he doesn't predominantly play on the right wing? Would you risk it? Would you pay the £36 million up front? Would you just get him? What would you do? I want to know what your thoughts are. So let me know in the comments section down below. But I do want to speak about him a little bit more. He's a very, very tricky winger. He's very fast. He has a very good shot on him. And I think, as I said before, he just reminds me of an old school winger. An old school winger, if maybe you're not aware or maybe you're not too clued up on it, is someone that just gets the ball, they hug the touchline and they run. They will beat the man. It's not a million step overs and they beat him once, stop, and then try and beat him again. It's the most simple way you can get past the man, the most simple and effective, maybe a drop of the shoulder or a little body feint or something like that. And then they're past you and they don't look back. They want to get the ball into the box as quickly as possible, either with a direct run or a pass or a cross or anything that can get the ball closer to the goal or get the ball in the goal as quickly as possible. And that's something that I like. That's something that I admire. We do see signs of that on the left with Marcus Rashford, but I don't think we see it enough. However, on the right with Facundo Pellistri, we do see it more often than not. That's his game, and that's why I think I can compare the two, and I do compare the two because they have very similar play styles. Now, a lot of you will be saying, oh, we already have Facundo Pellistri on the right. Why do we need another winger? We have wingers already. They're going to be coming back at one of them at least is going to be coming back at some point. But I just think when you're Manchester United, yes, we won the Carabao Cup and finished third last season. And yes, we should at least be trying to better that. So for me, that would be at least third, at least another trophy. But you want to push on and do something more. As much as I like Pellistri, he's still evolving, he's still learning, he still has a lot of room to improve in terms of his finishing. I think he scored once for us. In terms of his decision making, his physicality, he needs to bulk out a little bit more. He needs to become more acclimatized to the physical challenges and demands of the Premier League at the highest level. But with Chiesa, you have it already. He's done it. He's done it on the international stage. He's done it in the Champions League. He's been doing it in the Serie A for many, many years. And I'm surprised, to be perfectly honest with you, a team like Manchester City or just a better team or a higher level team than what Juventus are currently operating at haven't gone in for him. Now, if we do go in for him, I'm there. I want him. And I would have absolutely no problems with it. But it would be a thing where he has to play on the right because, of course, we have Rashford, Garnacho on the left. And I don't really think they're looking to be replaced right now. As much as you might not like them, they are the left wingers that we have. So Chiesa would have to really be deployed on the right. And I don't have a problem with that. So just let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. With January coming as well, you will be hearing a lot of rumors and false stuff. A lot of stuff slips through the cracks, but if you want the reliable sources, if you want trustworthy information, make sure you follow at MUFC MPB over on Twitter for X now, for all of the latest trustworthy Manchester United news, transfer news, gossip, leaks, anything to do with Manchester United that is trustworthy and reliable, you will find over on at MUFC MPB. So make sure you go and follow if you haven't already. Also, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a like on the video down below. Make sure you also follow myself, Ash and Anil. We are the 3 presenters on this YouTube channel on X. All of our links will be in the description down below. So make sure you get doing that. We are trying to build a nice little community here, and I think we're doing a very good job so far. Give me 1 minute, guys. I just lost the page here, and I need to find it so that I can actually talk and find what I'm talking about. Sorry about that, guys. I was just tweeting something out. But moving on, there is some more positive news around Manchester United and maybe a couple of your favourite youngsters. Injury returns that are happening soon, or as soon as the October international break. Samuel Luckhurst, a very reliable source when it comes to Manchester United, has reported that Kobbie Mainoo and Amad Diallo could be available as soon as the October international break, which I believe is in isn't it in a few weeks? So basically within a month to 6 weeks we could see these guys back in action. We could see them on the pitch or on the bench at the very least. And Sergio Reguilon, also reported by Samuel Luckhurst, Manchester United will assess Sergio Reguilon ahead of their second game against Crystal Palace on Saturday. I'm a big fan of Reguilon. I was a big fan of him before he joined Manchester United. I think what a lot of people don't realise is that he's not a waste man. He's not a joker. He's a serious footballer. He came through, I believe, at Real Madrid. He's won the Champions League. I want to say he played in a Champions League final, or it was one of the semi-finals against Bayern Munich when it was Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. It was the year they were. Is it Arturo Vidal got a red card, an unjustified red card? So he has been playing at the highest level for a very long time. Obviously, a lot of the Premier League watchers here and a lot of the Premier League fans in general won't have seen him much when he was at Real Madrid, or they would have only seen him at Tottenham, which is a spell that maybe he doesn't think was very good because it wasn't. The team and the managers just never really got the best out of him. But what we're seeing here in Reguilon is someone who he just tries really hard, and it shouldn't even be a thing where we want players that try hard. That should be a prerequisite of any footballer, especially a footballer at Manchester United. But it is nice to see, and he's not just trying hard; he's actually good, and it's like, God, he's really good. Okay, he's a very good footballer, and I think he fits the team well. He's a nice, composed player on the ball, but he can work at very high speeds. He's got a good touch. He's a good dribbler, and he loves to get the ball in the box. He's able to beat a man easily as well. I know he's a left back by trade, but you could play him at left wing back. You could even stretch and play him at left mid. But I do want him back as soon as possible, and hopefully he's fully fit and available, like properly available for the match against Crystal Palace at the weekend. I know we won 3-0 on Tuesday, but we have to remember it was a weakened Palace side. They had a few youngsters in there. Their full strength side wasn't out basically. Players like Eze, he did come off the bench, to try and rescue the game. But at that point, I think it might have been too far gone for them. It's going to be a different story on the weekend. Crystal Palace are not a bad team. I think they are working very well, very, very well under Roy Hodgson. And we have to watch out. for Eberechi Eze. It's going to be a tough match, but what I'm going to ask you guys now is, what do you think our lineup is going to be? Of course, I'm going to put Reguilon in there because I do believe he'll be back in time. But I don't really expect that many changes from Ten Hag, to be honest. Why would you change that squad too much? Of course, I'm going to go with Onana in goal. I'm going to go with Reguilon at left back and Diogo Dalot at right back. I think they're very good, very complementary fullbacks. They're able to tuck into the middle. They're able to take the ball down the line, make overlapping runs, link up. They have good technical ability, and I think it's so undervalued because, you know, everybody wants that system. But yes, anybody can play in the system, but you have to be good to make the system work well and effective as effective as it should be. So, as I said, Onana in goal, Reguilon at left back, and then Diogo Dalot at right back. I'm going to go with Rafael Varane at centre back, partnered by Victor Lindelof. In the midfield, I'm going to keep Casemiro in there because he's playing very well this season. He's actually our top scorer, weirdly enough. Then I'm going to go with Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes just in front. Of course, actually not of course. Honestly, I would start Garnacho on the left. I don't think Rashford has been performing that well this season, and obviously Garnacho opened the scoring against Crystal Palace on Saturday, so I think he does deserve a start, and I do think he will start. I'm going to go with Højlund up front as well. Even though Martial did score, I think Højlund is our first choice striker, and, you know, the first choice striker does start the Premier League matches. And then Facundo Pellistri on the right, because he did have a very, very good game against Crystal Palace on Tuesday. Why would you stunt that? Why would you stop that? What reason would there be for him to be dropped, especially with our lack of right wingers at the moment? I missed out Amrabat. I'm going to have to drop Pellistri. Well, this is the team I want. But that was the team I want. But this is the team I think Erik Ten Hag will play. I think he'll put either Fernandes or Mason Mount on the wing, on the right, and have Amrabat next to Casemiro in the middle. And I wouldn't complain at that whatsoever. I think that would be a very good move. Of course, we saw Amrabat on Tuesday absolutely dominate Crystal Palace. He was everywhere, but he was effective and he was good and he's composed and he was picking out passes and he was tracking runners and making tackles. I don't know, to be perfectly honest, I don't know if it's true because it looks like too good to believe, but the heat map of Amrabat's game against Crystal Palace was everywhere. It was literally everywhere. It looked fake, so I honestly don't know if it's real or not. But yes, I would put I would put Amrabat in the middle next to Casemiro and have Amrabat playing the deeper role. Casemiro just in front, and then Bruno Fernandes even further in front. That would be my midfield three. However, Mason Mount could easily go in there. It wouldn't. I think we'll still win. I don't think changing that or switching them around would cost us the game. But sorry, my mind just went blank. Let me just double check this. So it definitely wouldn't cost us the game, but I do think that having Amrabat in the middle alongside Casemiro would help us keep that solidity that we had against Crystal Palace on Tuesday, and I think it would be a big miss to have him not in the midfield role. Of course, he could, he might be deployed. He might be playing the same position as Tuesday because Reguilon might not be back, and maybe because of how good he played, there might be less pressure or less stress on Reguilon to make it back to full fitness as quickly as we might have wanted him to before. So, it's a good headache to have, and I think Erik Ten Hag will pick the right team. I'm very confident that we'll win, to be perfectly honest with you guys. So I've got no worries about that. But of course, with Mainu and Ahmad coming back in the next few weeks, I kind of want to get your opinion on things. Of course, in pre-season, Mainu was in the starting 11. He was one of, I would imagine, one of the former names on the team sheet. He was in the starting positions. I don't know how, in pre-season they have a strong side and then they have the B team. Mainu wasn't in the B team. He was in the strong side. He just picked up an injury and, which left him out, which was very, very unfortunate for him. If you don't remember, it was against Real Madrid. I think Casemiro tackled Rodrigo, and Rodrigo fell on Mainu's leg, and I don't know what the injury was. I want to say it was a knee. It was either knee or ankle. So that was the reason he's been out for so long. But he was there. And the fact that he was there playing with all the first teamers against Real Madrid, I think is a very, very big compliment. And I think it shows the trust that Ten Hag has in him. But my question to you guys would be, when he does come back, does he go into the team? Does he have to sit on the bench for a month? Or do you get what I'm saying? Does he go straight back into the team? Because I'd have him. I wouldn't put him straight back into the team personally. I'd have him on the bench. I'd bring him off after 60, 70 minutes in the first few weeks. And then eventually I'd have him playing next to Casemiro. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I'd have him playing next to Casemiro. I think there's no better way to see if you're good enough than to just be thrown into the deep end. I think at Manchester United, one of the problems that we have with the younger players or players that we bring in, which is something that other teams don't do, is that when we have a youngster coming through, we don't give them a good enough opportunity to show how good they are, and then we leave it for so long, and then eventually, 1 to 2 years down the line, they've not made any progress, and then they get sold, or we're all thinking, oh, what happened to them? It's because they weren't playing. It's because they weren't given the opportunity. Look at Doku. Came to Manchester City, was starting the first game. Odegaard came to Arsenal as a youngster, was starting straight away. All of these players that have the hype, that have the quality, that have the presence on the field as a youngster, they come into these teams that are doing well, Manchester City and Arsenal as those two examples, and they play straight away, and then they have to get used to it. Otherwise, they get dropped, and if they get dropped, it's because they're not good enough. And we don't do that enough because we have the first teamers and we have the players that cannot be dropped. And I do sometimes wonder if there are clauses in contracts that say, he can't be dropped, or he has to. Well, there are clauses in contracts which, have a percentage of games that they have to start and they have to meet. Otherwise, stuff happens. But I think at Manchester United, we might be too guilty of that. Hello, Mr. Stats. How are you doing this evening? I hope you are doing well. If you've just arrived, we have spoken about the speculation around Federico Chiesa from Calcio Mercato, an Italian publication, saying that Manchester United could try and sign Federico Chiesa as soon as January as a potential replacement for Jadon Sancho. I'm not too bothered whether he replaces Sancho or not. I think we should just get him in because I like him. I like his style of play. I think he's a very good fit for a team like Manchester United and what they're trying to get back to, and the way they're trying to play. The way he plays fits us very well in terms of his directness, his speed, his dribbling ability, his passing, just everything about him and his game, I think would benefit us. So I think it would be a very shrewd move. I don't think it would be too intelligent not to get him. And he's not that expensive either. His market value is around £36 million, or I think it might be euros actually, which is much less than I originally thought. But then, of course, in Italy, players do go for cheaper because they just don't have as much money as other European clubs or leagues in general. So I think we should get him. But that was just a little bit of a catch-up. But back to Kobbie Mainoo. And then Ahmad as well. Of course, we haven't seen Ahmad really since Erik ten Hag came in. He got injured in was it a match against Arsenal? I think he was injured and he hasn't been back since. But he's due back at around the same time as Kobbie Mainoo, which is after the October international break. So that is literally in a few weeks. He is another right winger, which we've been missing. And of course, with our right wing situation, he has been a big miss, just not being able to have the option. Look, he might not be good enough, but we don't know yet. So I'm very glad to see him coming back, and I hope he does hit the ground running. He was in a championship last year with Sunderland. Either it was Sunderland's player of the season. He got some sort of player of the season award or something like that last year in the championship. So there's no doubt in that he does have the quality. He does have the experience of playing high-level English football in terms of the physicality, in terms of getting acclimatized to the conditions and the way the game's played. And I think, to be perfectly honest, if you're a youngster coming through, the Championship is the perfect place to go because it builds character. It helps you build yourself. It helps you get bigger and more intelligent. So coming back to Manchester United off the back of that season, I think it's going to be incredible, to be honest with you guys. It's going to be a battle between him and Pelistri for the right wing spot, maybe Chiesa in January as well, but for the time being, I think we'll be all right. Also as well, we went over the Crystal Palace fixture. We went over the team that I think Erik ten Hag is going to pick. I'm very confident that we're going to win against Crystal Palace on the weekend. I don't have any doubts about that. I know Crystal Palace are a good team, but of course we're playing at home again, and we do have a very, very good home record. I've got no worries about that. I'm not stressed. I think for the first time in a while, going into a Manchester United game, I'm not even, honestly, not even really thinking about it too much, because I'm that confident. Maybe that might get clipped. Maybe it might come back to bite me in the arse, but I'm confident, and I stand and I say it on my chest. Let me just end that quickly. But if you guys do have any questions for me, because we kind of have gone over everything, let me just send another message to make sure there's nothing else that I'm wanting to be spoken about. Just give it a few more minutes. This is definitely going to be a shorter show. Goodness. But I do just want to remind you guys, once again, make sure you do subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Share the videos around. We want to build this community as much as possible. Make sure you do follow at MUFC MPP over on Twitter, or X as it is called now, for all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, all the latest gossip, everything that gets spoken about that is reliable and trustworthy surrounding Manchester United will be on MUFC MPP. So make sure you do follow that to keep up to date with the team you support, or the team that you want to keep up to date with. Also, make sure you follow myself, Ash Meppers, and Anil Kandola on X as well. All of our links will be in the description down below. I do know that Ash streams FIFA as well as myself. So if you want to keep up to date with all of that, then follow us. I think you'll have a good time. So if you guys have any more questions, or any questions at all, make sure you do get them in as soon as possible. But it does look Jesus. Oh my God. But anyway, guys, no questions or anything. So I will be seeing you guys tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. Make sure you guys do come back for that. Keep up to date with everything Manchester United and MUFC MPB. But I will be ending the stream here. Thank you guys for watching, the guys of you that pulled through. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Make sure you have a good evening.